400 people from 20 years old and Z generation. More than 40%. As social administrator. Now we of the public. More have experience interact those who have had first-hand experience. That they listen to K-pop songs every day in the past month. Cross-tabulation between gender and interested in K-pop music variables also depicts that the respondents who were very interested and who were very interested are female as well. In terms of electronic and fashion products, the difference of millennial who were not interested and who were interested is almost double from those who were interested and very interested, they stated that they bought South Korean electronic and fashion products once a month. Regarding preferences on whether they favor Korean dramas or movies, language, electronic and fashion products compared to these things from other countries, surprisingly, the number of respondents who disagreed were larger rather than those who agreed. These findings indicate that the respondents also consider other dramas, movies, foreign language, as well as products beyond Korea. After explaining the economic and socio-cultural issues, I'm going to touch on hard issues related to bilateral relations between Indonesia and South Korea. 96.3% of respondents assessed that bilateral relations between Indonesia and South Korea is good and very good. It's also in line with the assessment of the benefits of bilateral relations between both countries. Just below 90% of respondents agreed and strongly agreed with the statement. In the context of the Indo-Pacific region, the respondents who agreed that South Korea is an important strategic partner for Indonesia in promoting peace and security in the region reached approximately 80%, while 12% of respondents disagreed with this statement. A majority of the respondents also agreed that Indonesia should cooperate more closely in multilateral forums. Compared to other countries in East Asia region like Japan and China, the perception of Indonesian millennials revealed that South Korea is more important to Indonesia, reaching just about 60%. There were 4 main areas of cooperation which are expected to be enhanced between Indonesia and South Korea in the future, chosen by the respondents, such as the economy, trade, industry, education, technology, as well as military and defense sectors. We can also analyze from which media do millennials obtain information on South Korea. For social, political, economic issues, and Korean dramas or movies, the respondents obtained mostly through online media, while for K-pop music, they used YouTube as the main source, followed by online media and Instagram respectively. To sum up, here are main findings of the survey. Despite more respondents representing the Indonesian millennial generation having very limited experience in interacting directly with South Koreans or visiting South Korea, in general, they have a positive perception of South Korea. As we can see previously, their perception towards South Korea as a nation, character of Koreans, as well as economic, social, political, science, technology conditions tend to be positive. In obtaining information about South Korea, the results of the survey denote that Indonesian millennials have a greater tendency to access online platforms or digital media rather than conventional information sources. Regarding the bilateral relations between Indonesia and South Korea, most respondents considered that the bilateral relations between the two countries had been going well and brought the positive benefits to the Indonesian society. For the potential cooperation in the future, most respondents chose the economy, trade, industry sectors as the main area that should be improved between Indonesia and South Korea. It's also confirmed by a representative from the Coordinating Ministry of Economy when we had an in-depth interview. Both countries just signed the Indonesia-Korea Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, or IK-SEPA, last month as an important milestone. The IK-SEPA will eliminate tariff up to 95% in trade, and hopefully it could increase trade volume and South Korean investment in Indonesia in the future. I end my presentation here and give it back to the moderator. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Ms. Marina, for your insightful presentation about public opinion survey on South Korea in the perspective of Indonesia's millennial generation that has been conducted by the Habibie Center. I would like to remind the participants that you could ask the speakers by posting your question or comments through the live chat feature. Please tell us your name and institutions before the question. So next, we will see the other perspective from the other speakers. I would like to invite His Excellency Umar Hadi. He has been the ambassador of Indonesia to South Korea since 2017, and he will present about Indonesia and South Korea relations from government to government perspective. So to Mr. Umar, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I would like to congratulate the Habibie Center, especially the team that conducted this public opinion survey. It's quite very interesting results. I should also like to express my appreciation to the Korea Foundation that has been very active in promoting bilateral relations between Indonesia and South Korea. And I think this initiative about conducting a public opinion survey among the millennials in Indonesia is a very good initiative and very timely. I hope and I expect that a similar survey will also be conducted in South Korea. That is to have a survey on public opinion in South Korea about Indonesia among the millennials here. I think these results of this survey will be very useful as a policy input for the two governments on how to promote further the relationship between the two countries. But if I may put some suggestions before I start my presentation, for the next stage of the survey in Indonesia, I think the location need to be broader. I heard that you will conduct another survey in Surabaya. I think that is a good start. But if I look at the number of Koreans living in Indonesia, about 60,000 of them, most of them live around Jakarta, not necessarily in Jakarta, but around Jakarta area, such as in Bekasi or Serpong, BSD, Karawang, Purwakarta. Also, Surabaya has a big population of Korean. Therefore, maybe interactions between these millennials and South Koreans living in Indonesia would be more than 6-point-something%. On the other hand, as we know, there are about 40,000 Indonesians living in South Korea. The majority of them are migrant workers, and most of them are originated from Central Java. Cities like Tegal, Cilacap, Purworejo, nearby Yogyakarta. So I would think that many millennials in those smaller cities in Central Java and East Java, they would have more interactions with South Korea, especially those who had been working as migrant workers in South Korea. So I think that's my suggestion for the next stage of the survey. Now, let me start by saying that As the Indonesian ambassador in Seoul, I cannot be happier to see the stage or the status of bilateral relationship between the two countries today, from opening diplomatic relations in 1973 to establishing strategic partnership in 2006. And since November 2017, we entered a special strategic partnership. For South Korea, there are only two countries with the special strategic partnership status. One is Indonesia, the other one is India. Why special? I think that is the question many people ask. To me, it is special because, first of all, the two countries share similar values, norms, and principles when it comes to democracy, human rights, and market economy. And also the two countries share the vision about the importance of international cooperation, multilateralism, to promote peace in the region and in the world as a whole. Secondly, the two countries have this special partnership because there are complementarities between the two countries. Indonesia is a huge country with very rich natural resources, minerals, oil, gas, and so on. While South Korea is an advanced economy with high technology and mature capital accumulation. So this complementarity would be a very good basis for mutually beneficial cooperation between the two countries. And thirdly, there is a sense of, how do you say, common interest and common mutual interest when it comes to demography. Indonesia has a very big young population, while Korea is there are more old people in Korea than the young ones. So it's an aging society. So those three factors, I think, make up the background of why the strategy, the partnership between the two countries is special. Now, what are the focus on the special strategic partnership? Basically, it's about people, it's about peace, and it's about prosperity. So this is basically more or less in line with the policy in South Korea called the New Southern Policy. I think it was already discussed by the first speaker. One of the main focus in the past 3 years is to try to get more strategic and quality investments from South Korea, because quality and strategic investments, meaning not only capital, but also, most importantly, technology. So we have been able to work on quite a number of investment projects. Some of the most interesting ones are, for example, POSCO in steel industry with Krakatau Steel. We expect to produce 10 million 10 million metric ton of steel by 2023, which is good because 3 years ago, Indonesia only produced 1.5 million metric tons of steel. So with the investment from POSCO, we expect to produce 10 million metric ton of steel a year, which is very important to support our development in the manufacturing sector. And then Lotte Chemicals also already invested $6.5 billion in a petrochemical complex in Cilegon. This complex will, this factory, this chemical plant will produce ethylene and polypropylene, if I'm not mistaken, the two chemical components which are very important to support the manufacturing industry as well, because from those components you can, produce plastics, PVC, and so on and so forth. And then we have Hyundai Motor Company last year starting to invest in a car factory that will produce 250,000 units of cars. That's the capacity. But the important thing about this factory is that it will also produce electric vehicles, which is very important in our efforts to transform the Indonesian economy into a more environmentally friendly. And then the consortium led by Hyundai Motor Company and LG Energy Solution will build an end-to-end production of lithium battery and electric vehicles. So they will start from mining the nickel, because Indonesia has the largest nickel ore in the world. 25% of the nickels in the world is in Indonesia. So they will do the mining and then smelting and then producing the cathode and so on and so forth, up to the battery, lithium battery, and then electric vehicles, and then the battery recycle. So it's a very big project with investment about $11 billion. Trade is another focus. As mentioned earlier, we just signed the Indonesia-Korea Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. Hopefully it will start to work next year, this year, in 2021, that will reduce many of the tariffs for commodities for trade between the two countries. Hopefully it will help boosting the trade numbers between the two countries. Next, new Southern policy. It was already discussed. Actually, last year, because of the corona pandemic, the South Korean government put forward what they call New Southern Policy Plus, that would focus more on 7 key areas of cooperation. So number 1 is on healthcare, which is very logical. And then education and human resources development, interactive cultural exchange, reciprocal platform for business and investment, development of rural and city development, and then partnership on future industry, and cooperation in non-traditional security issues. This is the, so we will expect to have more engagements between institutions, companies in South Korea, with government, private sectors from ASEAN countries, and I expect that, I believe that Indonesia will do its best to work on these 7 key areas of cooperation. Now, following up the spatial strategic partnership announcement between the two presidents, we initiated last year, 2019 or 18, the Young Leaders Dialogue, 2019. Supposedly, 2020, we should organize the second Young Leaders Dialogue, but then because of the pandemic, it was quite difficult. But hopefully this year, because the first one was in Jakarta, hopefully this year it will be in South Korea. If the pandemic will be over, hopefully we can do it here, but if not, we will do it virtually. This Young Leaders Dialogue is very interesting because we gathered young people from the two countries, from different walks of life, and they engage themselves in a very productive and useful discussion. Next one, last year on 2019, we also initiated, it is called APIK, Asosiasi Peneliti dan Ilmuwan Indonesia di Korea. We established this organization in November 2019. It started with about 25 to 30 people. But in December, last December, we had the first anniversary of the organization, and it already included more than 250 people. Why I see this organization very important? Because one of the most important things that we want to get from South Korea is the culture of research and innovation. And it turns out that already in South Korea, quite many young Indonesians working in research facilities in the Korean government, in the universities, even in private sectors. And I think I always say to students, Indonesian students here, from the bachelor students to go straight to master's degree and then doctoral degree, and after that even to try to find a postdoctoral research jobs, and then if possible trying to get a job as a researcher in research institutions in South Korea. And I think the more young Indonesians doing that, the better. Next, this is also new. Last year we established a new division at the embassy. It's called Creative and Digital Economy. We have one minister counselor in that role, because we really want to promote more exchanges when it comes to creative economy and digital economy. Last one, at the embassy, we initiated 3 big transformations. First one is transformation in safety, security, and health. Second one is transformation in digital transformation. The third one is green transformation. Why? Because during the year 2020, we realized that adaptation is important, but actually it's not sufficient. It's not enough. We need to do more active transformation if we want to keep the embassy able to achieve its missions and objectives. Therefore, we have done many changes, many improvements in the safety, security, and health measures, and then in the digital work. And we have started to transform the embassy into a really, I call it 100% environmentally friendly. But also we will make the embassy as a showroom or show where people can showcase the latest green technology from Korea as well as from Indonesia, so that we can contribute to the development of a green economy. So I think those are my presentations, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Umar, for your presentation. It is interesting to see the suggestion for the upcoming survey and explanation about Indonesia and South Korea's relations. And it is also interesting to see the focus of special strategic partnership and its implication to Indonesia and South Korea bilateral relations. And hopefully Indonesia will do its best to work on those 7 key areas in the new Southern Policy Plus. So I encourage the participants to ask the speakers by posting your question or comments through the live chat feature. Tell us your name and institutions before the question, and the question will be answered in the Q&A session. So next, I would like to invite Dr. Suray Agung Nugroho. He is the lecturer of Korean Department in Universitas Gajah Mada. He got his master's and doctorate degree at Korean Studies, Graduate School of International and Area Studies, Hankook Universities of Foreign Studies in South Korea. He will present about the aspect of Korean literature and culture. And to Mr. Suray, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Kamsahamnida. Okay, so it's clear, right? But Marina, please make sure. Okay, thank you. First of all, I would like to thank to the Habibie Center for having me, and also to Korea Foundation for supporting this endeavor for this event. Okay, so I have a lot of slides here, so I think I just need to wrap this up. And I hope through my presentation, I could at least highlight what we have something in common. So it's a good public opinion survey actually. And I hope I could give highlight or support, or maybe, I don't know, just give suggestions just like Umar Hadi previously did to the center. Okay, so the title is Rewinding and Fast Forwarding. What can rewinding and fast forwarding? Okay, let's see. And then cultural, I give question mark here because it's a broad term actually, if you're talking about culture, right? So I would like to point out that something from the survey first, the new Southern Policy by President Moon Jae-in. The first is people. I think I really like it because the people comes first, not prosperity or peace. People. So this is something, because in Bahasa Korea, there is inyon, like tali nasib. If we have inyon, we have like, well, we are destined. Our destiny is to be with Korean. So it's inyon. So my life is with Korea now. My inyon is with Korea. So like people. So I like this kind of strategy. So, and then culturalism. In my class, it'll take 1 semester or 2 actually. So I don't think 15 minutes is enough. Anyway, so based on this, I would like to, to base my presentation to take you into how the cultural relation has been taking place actually in Korea from people to people's connection, not from the other perspective, okay? So by doing this, I hope it will give you an insight. So what is cultural relation? Anyway, let me start the discussion with this. Have you seen this, everyone? It's viral now. Okay, I know that everyone in Indonesia are talking about this, right? Rewind Indonesia 2020. You have been seeing this, okay? You have been seeing this. Now you see faces that you know, and then wow, okay. Now you are sparkling. I know that you are thinking fast, and then who this is, and then oh, I have seen that one, and then this picture I just screenshotted this one, okay, and then Lati, and you know, right? So and then Blackpink, wow. So what was all that about, and what's the fuss about it that it becomes the trending #1 in YouTube Indonesia for the whole week? Today it's 21 million views, everyone. You know it, right? I'm sure most of you have seen this. If you haven't, just check it out. Being Indonesian, in less than a week, it's 21 million. I think it's becoming 22 today. I'm not sure. And then why is it trending and why I use it as the opening of my presentation? Okay, now well, take a look at this, everyone. Here is Han Ji Pyong. Okay, who's team Han Ji Pyong? And then you know there is Nam Dusan, and then ada Mas Romit di sini ya, and also Han Sol. So they are included in Indonesia Rewind 2020. 3 Korean. What about this one? Here comes Indonesia's now boy group, okay, Unity, dancing to BTS Dynamite. So everyone, and there is the mesh of Lati and Blackpink covered by Indonesia's Black Panda. So it is a great mess up. So we're not talking about cinematic, right? See, this is what we see this week. If you haven't seen this, check it out. So what does Indonesia's YouTube Rewind 2020 tell us, everybody? Okay, this is very important. So one thing for sure is that the cultural influence from Korea has never been greater than now, everyone. Okay, whether you agree or not, this is what's happening, right? And then take a look at the survey again. So we've seen this, right? Through online media, more than 30% the Indonesian youngsters, millennials, are using YouTube and online media to search for Korea. So more than 30, okay, that from Ms. Marina just presented earlier. So we know that, so what happened is that that's why it is only fitting, everyone, that we are seeing more of this trend in Indonesia. Now take a look at this. Indonesian Tokopedia, okay, this is not an advertisement, okay, but this is the fact. They were using, this ad was deliberately made and geared toward Indonesians who are so infatuated, tergila-gila with Korean popular culture. This BTS, this is something made deliberately on purpose. What about this one? Okay, the same premise, right? And then, okay, everyone, so this online is unquestionably the most effective way to connect to people at the moment, especially in the COVID-19 era like now. We are living in a completely different world now. So unquestionably, this is very important online. So up to 30%, well, that makes sense then. So online platform is the way to go, everyone. Though those are like the tip of Hallyu iceberg. There are more to talk about K culture than those. So if you know, the so-called culture is actual K culture is unprecedented. Gak ada yang menyangka something even that current government is now, they are trying so hard to make sure that they have to keep it existent, visible. So now Korea does its best, everyone, to keep its K culture, generate more revenues. They want to get more money, right? Or more importantly, how this could be able to represent Korea. The question is, everyone, could it or should it be the face of Korean image? Or could it be used to assist people to people relation? So remember all those BTS and everyone, could it be used to assist people to people relation? So I'd like to rewind. Okay, what has actually been shaping Indonesia and Korea's cultural relation in a broader sense? Okay, ada warning di sini ya. It may look trivial, mungkin sepele, or even some controversial, but this is what people connection is all about in the borderless era, everyone. Otherwise, we may overlook. Kalau nggak saya ungkap di sini, some people may find it so trivial, sepele, we don't have to talk about it. But we may not overlook the value of people-to-people connection in the borderless era. Now, mungkin dia janggam? No, this is so tiny, not this one. This movie? No, not this one. Or BTS? Oh, well, okay, but also a tiny part of a bigger picture. So what is it then? What is it? What is this culture between Indonesia and Korea? To answer this, there is no exact answer. Well, one thing for sure is that we cannot define or see our bilateral ties from the mere popularity of K-pop or K-drama. No, it's too small. There are many more than those. There are many more than just K-pop, everyone. More than that, if we are talking about cultural relation between these two countries. So let's start. Let's rewind that you may have been missing in understanding our bilateral ties. It could also be possible that we are, or you, everyone, you, me included, or Pak Hadi juga, that we are actually the actors playing a part in this bit. Maybe some of us may not take it seriously, but Anda semua, everyone, you Indonesian or you Koreans, actually we are the actors. Now let's take a look from the Korean side. You know Mas Romit, okay? Uh, Talk about Indonesia. You know him from his YouTube, and then Mas Abang Day, okay? Oke, annyeonghaseyo Indonesia sarang namja. Saya cowok yang suka Indonesia. And then Sunny and Chris, Korean girl at heart, but Balinese at heart. I'm sorry, Korean girl, but Balinese at heart. Okay, you know them. If you don't know them, just check them out. And then, so there are these Korean people also react to the Rewind Indonesia. So there are so many people in the Korean people who are using YouTube, okay, who are using YouTube to connect to Indonesian people. And there are more views, right? Many views from Indonesian side. So this is what I call maybe it look trivial, mungkin sepele, but maybe not. And then salo, these Korean youngsters, they make this salo. Okay, salo means Southeast Asian hello. They are reacting to movies and then to culture from Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, from ASEAN countries. And they are actually targeting ASEAN people. Well, if controversial because they know there are millions more people in ASEAN than in Korea. So I'm so quote unquote, okay, quote unquote, they want to generate value from the people of ASEAN. Okay, it may be controversial, but this is what is happening in the borders area. And then Nona Rosa, you know her, okay? Saya Rosa orang Korea yang merindukan Indonesia. Well, more, and then Bandung Opa, and then more. Okay, I think I'd better stop here, everyone. There are so many YouTubers. Love it or hate it, these are happening. To some extent, they are bridging the connecting among Indonesian and Korean people. Okay, take it or leave it. Love it or hate it, they are existing in the borderless area. Okay, in the YouTube, and you know them, right? So it means the 40% Indonesian being surveyed may have found this platform, okay, 40% as a way to connect to Korea. They may not been able to connect Korean directly. Okay, mungkin yang maybe in Cibinong, in Tangerang, just like Pak Umar Hadi, because they work in Korean companies, maybe they meet Korean people. But those in central area in Jakarta, they may have never been able to meet Korean directly, but they see them through online platform. They may also bump them into these channels. This is what we call, maybe this is what we call by 40% of this survey. So take a look. We have 260 million, having one of the safest millennials on the planet, meaning they are constantly, Indonesian people, constantly hooked into online world. So walaupun 40%, even just 40%, that translates into 100 million people. What a huge market it is. See, Mr. Umar Hadi, you're right. 40% is 100 million people, twice or the double of Korean population. What a huge market it is. So now let's take a peep into other examples. Okay, KBS. Now they set up their own YouTube, KBS World Indonesia with YouTube, everyone. Check it out. Okay, and then there are many Korean TV. They come to Indonesia, they produce program, they go to Bandung, to other cities, to Jogja, to Bali, to other parts of the island Indonesia. They have the Baltel trip here. So Indonesia has become a lucrative market because if they being recorded or make the program in Indonesia, a lot of people will see this. Well, both sides actually will beneficially got advantage. It's like promotional to Indonesia as well. Side and then mukbang, and this mukbang Indonesia. There are a lot. Now get ready, everyone. Okay, there are so many more that I want to show you. Let's take a look at Indonesian bookstore. Look at this. There are so many books on Korea Indonesian. Just go to any bookstore in Indonesia, online, be it online or offline. You will see this, kamus, buku Indonesia Korea. There are a lot. Assalamualaikum Opa. This is wow, it could not have happened in China. Assalamualaikum Opa only happened from Indonesia, only in Malaysia. Okay, Assalamualaikum Opa. This is the hybrid, the breeding. Okay, what comes out from the mutual relation, cultural relation between Indonesia and Korea, and then so many K-pop attack, and then you just check them out by yourself, everyone. And then we have to mention about translated Korean novels. There are a lot in Indonesian. Okay, Kim Jong Lahir 1982 is a very good movie. They make it into a movie, and it's available in Bahasa Indonesia, and it's sold online. Hanggang, Vegetarian, one of the best novel from Korea. You have to read it, and it is also in Indonesia. I Want to Die, but I Want to Eat Tteokbokki, also in Indonesia. So more and more books with diverse topics in Korea are translated or written in Indonesian, everyone. So take a look at this. About Korean wave, kebudayaan Korea, Korean culture, and then mostly about Korean language. It's all available now. This is unthinkable, even like 20 years ago, 2 decades ago. Yeah, unthinkable, unthinkable. And then enough with the books. Now let's get into the academic ties. Everyone, you know that currently there are 4 universities in Indonesia, UI, UGM, UNAS, and UPI. They are all offering Bahasa Korea, Bahasa Korea, Korean language to Indonesian people from high school graduates who want to further study about Korean. What about in Korea? There are 2 universities, okay, in HOOPS and PUS, Busan WD and Hanguk WD. Everyone knows this. I'm going to make it quick because there are more. I'm just going to give you highlights. What is happening in the shaping and the cultural ties. Then this is from the picture from Busan WD, Busan University of Foreign Studies. And then like the flip side of the coin, everyone, Korea also attracts Indonesian students to dig into direct cultural experience. They go to Korea to study and then they experience Korean life. And then they make their own YouTube channel. Kehidupan di Korea sama mahasiswa. Previously, I show you, right? I show you about Korean commenting about Indonesia, and then this Indonesian commenting about their lives in Korea. To check them out. This is also a cultural ties in the virtual world, and it's happening. Unthinkable a few years back. And then more Indonesians, they are experiencing transnational academic heaven, Korea. Korea, like 25 years ago, was not be one of the 5 countries to go to for international study. But now, a lot of Indonesian youngsters are competing to go to Korea. Yeah, this is true, everyone. And then on the other hand, it is also seen Indonesia, our country, is also seen as a country to experience unique cultural exposure by some Korean students through Dharma Siswa. Okay, Dharma Siswa, if Korea has KGSP, Korean Government Scholarship Program, Indonesia has Dharma Siswa. And vice versa, these Korean students, they are documenting their life in Indonesia. Look at this and more. And you know, mungkin this is that I know, Masjid, this is in UGM. By looking at this is what has been happening in the past few years, everyone. Yes, this is what has been happening. Now let's move on to another trace of Korea-Indonesia academic relation as experienced by another member of society, Albakori. This is a association of Indonesian Korean language courses. So there are many courses or Hankuko Hakwon in Indonesia who teaches Korean language to migrant workers to be. There are a lot. We have to know that Korea-Indonesian people-to-people relation view from migrant point of view should not be overlooked when we are talking about cultural relation about our country, between Korea and Indonesia. Migrant workers. Okay, in Mr. Umar Hadi's presentation, we also see, right? And at the bottom, I saw it that a migrant worker is one of the most important factors between people-to-people relation. Yeah, it is true. We could not overlook their existence. In this case, there are a mere fact about 35,000 Indonesian migrant workers living and working in Korea. They portray the interdependence of both countries. And before going to Korea, they need to keep brushing up their Korean language competence to make sure that Indonesia, meet the standardized quota required by Korean government. So they have to learn Korean, these kind of things. And so it's no wonder, everyone, that the book itself the book on Korean language also on the rise. One of the book like this. This is only one part of the books. And there are so many books. And so does the demand for Korean language course for migrant workers to be in Indonesia. If we just look at them as tempat kursus biasa, as a mere just usual tempat kursus, you have to change how you see them. This is the fact that Korea has a close relation to Indonesia because there are so many Korean There are so many Korean language courses scattered across the country in Indonesia. This is the fact. What about food diplomacy? Ini makanan, ya Rabun. If you go to Ansan, Ijongbu, in other satellite city in Korea, you will see warung baroto, harung city, and other warung that sells or cater the needs of Indonesian people or in Korean people who want to taste Indonesian food in Korea. What about in Indonesia? The same. Daftar restoran Korea halal based on UI. So if you see this, this is what is happening in our countries. Sorry. I think everyone, talking about Korea-Indonesian culture relation will only lead to never-ending array of aspects, so many things. So I better get back again to the so-called culture, Korean culture that many Indonesians may think of when it comes to Korea. Sekarang, budaya Korea. What comes to Indonesian people's mind when we talk about budaya Korea, Korean culture? K-pop. Is it wrong? Luckily, it should be not like that, but that's the fact now. That's the fact, K-pop or K-drama, but that's the mere fact. Now the problem are, can K-pop or K-culture be accepted by the people of Indonesia or in the world in the following years to come? Can it be always be the norm that Korean culture could transcend any borders forever? Can it be like this forever? That's the question, everyone. So to end this presentation, there is a twist. There is a twist. This is what I want to emphasize. K-pop in people-to-people relation between Indonesia and Korea. Does it matter? Pentingkah ini? Does it matter? I'm really asking the question. Really? Does it matter if you, oh yeah, maybe yeah, okay, you do. Maybe you say it is, maybe you say it is not. Okay, it's up to you, but this is the question, okay? Considering all the buzz and all the familiar sold out tickets of K-pop concert in Indonesia, of course, that's before Corona, right? That's before Corona takes over. Do you remember this? Yeah, Musik Bank Indonesia, 900.000, 900,000 rupiah, it's sold out. It's sold out. Banyak orang kaya di Indonesia. Banyak milenial kaya di Indonesia. Anak-anak muda. There are so many rich millennial in Indonesia. Maybe 4 million rupiah, they sold out. Okay? Musik Bank. Okay? Now, let us go through what's going on briefly on the following familiarities. You got familiar all before COVID. Super Show in Jakarta, sold out. Big Bang, 2015, 5 years ago, sold out. Psy Harmony Concert, more. Look at this, SM Live World. This is just the bygone era now, the bygone era. Before COVID, everyone, before COVID. Those are the tip of an iceberg, probably. Because of what we could see from the online platform, to say the least. Basically, now what we are looking at is only on Facebook or YouTube or what is it, Instagram. There is something different worth looking at. This is the twist. These are what popping up. Anti-K-pop, Indonesia Komunitas. Anti-Korean boy band di Facebook. Awasi remaja fanatik K-pop. Beware of Indonesian people who are fanatic to K-pop. Is it too soon and pointless? Am I too overreacting to the so-called anti-K-pop movement? Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. Kami benci K-pop. This is happening. K-pop plastik semua. Kata K-pop soal haters. Look at this. Look at this. That's just a tip of iceberg. It could probably happen in Malaysia and Indonesia. Hukum mengidolakan K-pop. Hukum mengidolakan orang kafir. Islam itu indah. Ada apa dengan K-pop? Actually, this is my research project. This is my research project now. But this is what's happening. From the superficial level, everyone is so hurrah, hurrah. Wow, this is K-pop. Actually, this is what happened. Maybe just a few people, just a few people, just a few people. Okay, make sure just a few people that do not like K-pop, but we may not overlook the fact So is it even necessary to peek into the seemingly non-existent anti-K-pop movement in understanding the cultural relationship between Korea and Indonesia? Okay, I think the Korean government needs to know this. Yeah, Indonesian government also needs to know this. We cannot overlook, we cannot just say it doesn't happen. No, it's happening. Jadi, mengapa? Ada dosa apa Korea? What are the sins of Korea? Memang Korea punya dosa apa? There are some people who are anti-K-pop. If K-pop is haram, Hallyu haram, then what about Hollywood? What about Bollywood? And then all this time, K-pop is the worshipper of Dajjal. It's not happening in China. The word Dajjal nggak mungkin di China, nggak mungkin di Filipina. It only happens in Indonesia. So when we talk about cultural relation with Indonesia and Korea, we cannot overlook this. Nggak boleh ini dilupakan. We have to see this. This is happening. K-pop virus and deconstruction of faith. Dekonstruksi akidah hanya muncul nggak mungkin di China, nggak mungkin di Vietnam. Akidah only in Indonesia. Now, the government, both Indonesia and Korea, should look at this. This is what I'm researching now. Cannot be overlooked. So, well, can we say that for almost 2 decades, Hallyu in Indonesia has been positively or superficially, hanya di permukaan saja, well received? Think about that. Korean Wave as Korea's soft power to keep the Korean image to strengthen people-to-people relation is still relevant. Okay, I want you to think about this, everyone. What about the oversaturation? Saturasi saja udah bahaya, apalagi oversaturated. Lama-lama bosan bagaimana? What will happen if the Korean wave K culture became oversaturated? Actually, the term oversaturated has been researched by a lot of researchers from Korea, from all over the world. Okay, it's not happening yet, but it could happen if something is not be done about this. So it's a big homework, everyone, a huge homework for Korean government, maybe to Indonesian government as well, to make sure that it keeps paying attention to other countries' culture or cultural sensitivity, to make sure that K-pop is not a one-way cultural interaction, not one way, but it should be two-way. Okay, Korean government has done a lot of homework to make sure that it is both way. Yeah, dari cerita tadi from the KBS, they also try to make the both way. This is a very big and bold job or homework that both government must do. Okay, so everyone, what have we learned today? 오늘은 무엇을 배우셨나요? Just think about it. I'm not giving any conclusion, just to spark our ideas that apart from what has been happening, we have to look at other parts, expand what is happening between our two countries. Matur nuwun, kamsahamnida, and terima kasih.
Thank you so much, Dr. Suray, for your presentation. It is intriguing that you mentioned a lot of pop culture reference, especially the latest Europe Rewind Indonesia, that shows how big the influence of Korean culture to Indonesia, and the issues that you brought really emphasize the Korean culture's popularity in Indonesia, which got both positive and negative response. As Mr. Umar Hadi has explained about the government to government relations, Dr. Suray has explained about the people-to-people relations between Indonesia and Korea, which is really thought-provoking. So next, we may see some explanation about socio-cultural aspects, especially on Korean music and movies. And I would like to invite Miss Tami Mauliana Kartanegara, a journalist, a producer, and reporter at Metro TV, and she is also the AMFAC Fellowship awardee and at Korea National University of Arts. And to Miss Tami, the floor is yours.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me today at Habibie Center. Thank you so much for inviting me today. Together with the Korean expert, it's an honor for me to be here with Bapak Umar Hadi, Pak. It's been a while ya Pak since our work together for the documentary and the vlog. Bapak Suray, ada Miss Marina also, and yeah, today in this pandemic era, we're talking about the Korean wave. You know, the Korean wave, we all agree that has become a global phenomenon, especially in this pandemic era. A lot of my friends who never watched Korean drama before, during the pandemic, they start enjoying Korean drama, right? Who disagree with this? Like everyone, like really talking about Han Ji Pyong and Nam Do-san, like everyone around the world, I think, especially in Indonesia. Yeah, because they really know how to attract people, in Indonesia with really great stories, good visual, good camera angle, pretty actress, handsome actor, and everything like it is same. How can I say? It's like a whole package that we can enjoy it much during the pandemic era because everyone like stay at home. They don't have work, like they don't go to work like before, so they enjoy, they entertain themselves to release the stress, so they start enjoying the K-drama. Yeah, the Korean really know how to attract the global market by their entertainment industry. But first of all of the successful of the Korean wave is not an instant way. They really work hard for that. I did interview with a representative from SM Town Entertainment, thanks to Bapak Umar Hadi because of him. So we can arrange the interview with one of the representative of the SM Town back in 2017. So the SM Town told me that the Korean idols spend their daily life to work hard, like really hard every day. So I don't want to talk that much. I want to show you my video related to Korean wave. Also my interview with SM Town Entertainment.
BTS, EXO, Blackpink, Girls' Generation,
Bang, bang, bang. Bang, bang, bang. Bang, bang, bang. Bang, bang, bang.
Big Bang,
Bang, bang, bang. Bang, bang, bang.
I'm like TT, just like TT. Tell me that you be my babe.
Twice, Super Junior,
Na 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 na. 노래가 나오다가 나도 모르게.
Who's not familiar with these performances? The catchy beats, colorful visual, and good-looking appearance are invading countries around the world with a massive force. Korean wave has become a global phenomenon no one can ignore. Carried forward by the internet and media, is now getting more and more popular among the younger crowds. South Korea, the country is known for taking hard work and discipline to the next level, has spreading their K-pop culture to all the planets.
내 안에 당신이 가득하고 춤추매요.
They arrange and train their human resource for dozens of
좋아했던
years.
친구들처럼 멀어질 수도 사라질 수도 없어요. 나는 온통
Korean
찬성해.
wave has been a blessing for Korea, its business, culture,
내가
and country image.
당신이 잠드는 그날까지 당신 곁을 지킬게요.
Indonesia has become one of dozen countries who has hypnotized by Korean wave. Consumption of Korean popular culture has increased continuously in Indonesia since the early 2000s. Indonesia is now one of the fastest growing K-pop markets in Southeast Asia. To dig more about the successful of human research in entertainment industry, I met David from SM Town. David explained me how hard SM Entertainment train their talents.
Train them since they're very young. So some trainees train maybe up to 4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years?
Yes.
And then they start debut?
Yes, before they debut, sometimes they train for more than 4 years, 5 years.
Until
so
5 years.
that's how much time and energy they spend to become a celebrity. Just walking, even speaking, languages. All of these are things that we have to create for these celebrities. So they try to start at zero. Of course, they train very hard since they're very young. SM Entertainment invests a lot of time, a lot of money into building up these celebrities. Exercising a lot, practicing dancing. So a lot of that is very, very important for these celebrities to become who they are right now.
Korea put their hard work for dozens of years to spreading Korean wave globally. Indonesian ambassador to South Korea, Umar Hadi, explained to me that the global success of Korean wave didn't happen by accident. The education is one of the key of successful Korea.
Nah itu di mana-mana saya bertugas, saya selalu museum, sekolah-sekolah seni saya kunjungi. Nah di Korea ini sudah ada 2 atau 3 saya kunjungi. Disitulah saya mengerti kenapa apa yang disebut Korean Wave itu begitu masif dan bertahan sudah cukup lama. Jadi di sekolah-sekolah seni inilah tidak hanya diajarkan atau orang itu mengembangkan keseniannya, tetapi juga mengembangkan kesenian sebagai komoditi industri. Jadi kalau di sini misalnya di sekolah seni itu bukan cuma orang belajar nari atau nyanyi atau drama, tetapi ada yang pendidikan mengenai suara, tata suara, mengenai teknologi panggung, mengenai teknologi video. Jadi lucu di sekolah seni tapi ada laboratorium mekanik. Jadi orang bikin robot, bikin laser itu ya di sekolah seni.
Jadi semuanya lengkap ada di situ ya.
Juga manajemennya untuk manajemen artis dan sebagainya. Jadi saya sadar bahwa ini sesuatu yang berjangka panjang, bukan kagetan.
쉼없는 창작의 길을 이끌어가고
Korea
있습니다.
has put education at the center of long-term development strategy.
세계 최고 수준의 교육 환경이 있기에
University of Arts in South Korea has become more popular. They are developing the students to continue this huge entertainment industry.
Yeah, that's one of my work with Bapak Umar Hadi. It's like I interview him in minus 20 degrees at the time. Remember that, Pak Umar Hadi, in winter. And then, from the last part of the video, we knew that the education play a big role for the next generation of Korean entertainment industry. They really work hard. So it's not something that happened with accident. No, it's a really long process. Like it took like many years to become like this. Before the Korean, there is a Japan, and before like China, before with Andy Lau or like in Japan, whatever. But now it's Korean time because they really work that hard. I see, I experienced myself when I went to Korea National University of Arts last year. I got a fellowship for 4 months. I produced a documentary there. And yeah, Korea National University of Arts is the best art university in South Korea under the government. It's really, I just knew when I entered there, it's like really hard to enter K Arts. Established in 1993 by the Ministry of Culture, Sport and Tourism of Republic of Korea, it has 26 departments in 6 schools, and yeah, they have so many great facilities for their students so they can develop themselves well. So when I went to K Arts, I produced a documentary about campus life in K Arts. I try to portray many situations in this university, in this art university, which is like raising the next generation of the Korean entertainment industry. The story divided into 5 chapters, 30 minutes long, but I make it short, like only 8 minutes because of the time. If you want to watch the full video, you can watch on my YouTube channel, Tami Kartanegara. So I will show you my documentary about the life of the art student in Korea National University of Arts, the stress, how they feel, how hard they compete, how struggle, like how they survive from the really strict educational system there.
Couldn't experience the real university life. No drink, no dance, no trip, only for work and homework. It was terrible. I cried, you know. Sincerely, I cried. I cried in first grade.
Have you ever feel like stressed or depressed?
Every
When you feel it?
Well, it's every day, every hours, every minute. So we don't express it very easily. Hiding it or try to control it. It's hard.
I was very stressed and depressed because I thought that time a year was very big. The surgery could have made me a stronger person because I know now what not to do, and if I do something, I will get injured.
What is going on in this school? Why are they all saying they feel so stressed out? Are they enjoying university life as well? What is really going on here?
They definitely will come to suffer and experience the depression. Oh, I'm not that good. Oh, it's too tough. Art is too difficult and too much.
Most places are empty. Where is the usual hustle and bustle of university? Why is everything so quiet here? Where is everyone?
This school is like temple, and we're like all monks, you know.
Many of my friends also coming from another area ask me where's the students because it's an art school, and I always reply, yeah, the students are there, not here. As I told you, they are always suffer from the homeworks, their own private projects.
여러분들은 그저 외면하고 못 본 척 할 수도 있겠고 아니면 정면 승부를 해볼 수도 있고. Practice on my own Maybe twice a week.
Twice a week?
A little more than an hour. My rehearsal is usually 3 or 4 hours, 5 days a week.
So 24 hours cycle of our students is morning quiet, awakening, afternoon attending their own personal work, nighttime doing things. So there will be no time for get together and talking, louding, walking, playing. So the campus life of K-Arts and campus life of the other university is totally different.
Let's begin exploring K-Arts.
선생님처럼 유명하고 재능 있는 작가가 된다는 건 어떤 기분인지 알고 싶어요. 유명하다는 건 어떤 거예요? 어떤 기분이죠?
어서 오세요. 많이 더웠죠?
Many people are coming out from this room. These high school students all dream about becoming famous actors in the future. But it's not that easy to enter this university, especially the School of Drama.
자, ready? 시작합시다. 고!
칭찬이면 기분이 좋고 대신 욕을 먹으면 이틀은 기분이 나쁘겠죠?
하지 않고서 자신들이 하지 않는 다른 모든 예술을 억압하고
왜 이런 식이에요? 너무너무 부러워요. 내가 이런 일을 얼마나 괴로운 사람인지 선생님께서 알아주신다면.
Welcome to the high level of competition.
In 17th, my year, lots of people, like about 5,500 people apply for School of Drama in K-Arts.
And how many accepted?
40.
Why has competition become so important?
There's a lot of play, but you can just pick one. I want to be in this role. Then you have to compete with that only one role, just like that. Really hard.
It's really hard.
Yeah. I'm having a really big challenging from here because our school is really hard to graduate, and we have to perform a lot of plays to graduate over here. So we always have to practice, just like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, just like 24 hours.
엄마는 그 사람 집에 가서 약도 주고 애들 목욕도 시켜줬었잖아요. 힘들다기보다는 뭐 이런 연극이나 어떤 연기에 대해서 고민하고 이런 게 힘들기도 하지만 동시에 이제 너무나 재밌고 좀 흥미로운 일이라서 계속 하고 있죠. 연습하다가 이렇게 좀 뒤로 이렇게 미끄러져서 떨어져서 등 뼈가 좀 다치고.
그러면 어디선가 우리를 비웃으면서 자기가 진짜 천재라고 니나를 꼬시고 있을걸요?
In order to graduate, the students have to minimum involved in 2 productions. Sometimes they didn't. If they don't pass auditioning, they have to delay their graduation. So they have to take. They have to stay at school one more semester. Generally, one more semester. Sometimes it could be 1 year too.
프랑스 여자들은 그럴지 모르겠지만 우리 그렇지 않지. 우린 이렇게 계획적이지 않잖아요.
우리도 그렇고 이제 일반적으로 교육계에서 알려진 바는 한국예술종합학교는 입학이 어렵다. 그러나 졸업은 더 어렵다. 중간에 탈락하는 학생들이 굉장히 많습니다. 이 학업을 쫓아가지 못해서 그 정도의 높은 기준을 갖고 있고요.
답답들해! 보세요, 부인. 전 부인의 재능에 감탄을 하고 부인을 위해서라면 제 목숨에 10년, 20년 다 바칠 수 있습니다.
하나, 둘, 셋.
So we can see from my documentary that they really work hard for that before they becoming an actor or actress to play in a drama. They feel like stressful every day, like crying in the first semester. And yeah, the huge difference is that I feel when I was there, like, you know, the environment of university in Indonesia, you know, with every corner in university, we have like a lot of people there, like they are gathering, they are playing guitar, or even they like playing cards, or they talking to each other, but not happening in K arts. They really take this like seriously. They only spend their life, their study time in the practice room. They don't gather and they don't like playing guitar or playing card outside. I mean, around the campus. And I feel like a little bit like, oh, strange the first time when I went there. But then, okay, I know that it's really, really hard to graduate from the K Arts and everything. So yeah, we can see who's the alumni of the K Arts. Panitia bisa, saya tadi udah bikin siapa-siapa aja. And nah ini, so here's the alumni. There is a Park Sodam from the Parasite, Lee Sukyun from the Parasite, Crash Landing on You, and then there is the World of the Married, the main actor, and then Kim Go Eun, and then Suho EXO. They are all from the alumni of K Arts. So yeah, for all of that, so we knew that they really put an effort, and the government support them so they can spreading widely globally until now. But yeah, as Prof Suray told before, it can be like over, but we don't know when. I hope we still can strengthen the relationship between two countries. Yeah, because this year also I will go to Korea to learn more about Korean language with Korea Foundation program. So yeah, that's all from my side, my presentation on music and idol and film, and how they struggling with all of the education, art education, for to be the next generation of Korean entertainment industry. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Tami, for emphasizing about Korea's effort to develop their culture and music as a tool of diplomacy through their education and training system. That was a very insightful to know how much work that Korea has done to produce these Hallyu wave that has become really popular not only in Indonesia but also globally. We are now entering the question and answer session. We already have one question. For those who still wants to ask a question, please tell us your name and institutions, and type the question by posting your question through the live chat feature in YouTube. So the first question we have is from Miss Andini from Unhan alumni. She asked, what area of cooperation should be enhanced or more be focused by two countries so that both countries can enhance each other's existence? That is the question from Miss Andini. Okay. We will proceed by that question first. Please, Mr. Umar Hadi, if you want to answer first.
Thank you. I just want to focus on one area, that is technology and innovation. I think this is very crucial. And if you look at the world today, the competition mainly between the United States and China is all about technology, especially the information technology and communication, 5G, and then on the genome sequencing or bioengineering, biotechnology, and then digital technology, artificial intelligence. Now, aside from the United States and China, there are only few countries in the world that who are also doing those kind of
research and innovation. One is Israel, and then some countries in Europe, especially Germany, and some Nordic countries like Sweden. But then also in our part of the world, we have Japan and South Korea. Especially on the artificial intelligence and 5G technology, plus biotechnology, I think South Korea is doing quite well. Why? Because number one, South Korea is the largest producer of chip integrated circuit, the silicon. So the thing that you need to put in every computer, in every handphone, you know. And then also South Korea is leading on the display technology. LG is now the strongest company when it comes to the technology and production of display. While we know that all kinds of gadgets now need display. So I think this is one area that Indonesia needs to engage South Korea really closely and work on it, be it the government to government. But I think also important is university to university and company to company. I gave one example that is for future industry is in the battery production, lithium battery production. By the way, Korea is also leading in the production of lithium battery. LG Chemicals created now a new company called LG Energy Solutions that is the largest producer of lithium battery in the world. So with the new project that is investing in the whole ecosystem of lithium battery production, starting from the nickel mining up to battery recycling, I think, and this is a joint venture between consortium of Korean companies and consortium of Indonesian state-owned enterprises like Antam, Pertamina, PLN. So hopefully through this kind of exercises, this kind of joint ventures, then we can have better collaboration for working on the next technology. Because right now, if we keep on playing or trying to catch up, we will never catch up. It's better to get into a totally new, something for the future, so that we can be also a leading country in a certain technology. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Umar. Technology is indeed very important to be enhanced, especially during this era. Next speaker to answer may be Dr. Suray. Do you want to add some comment on the question?
Yeah, thank you, Mbak Andini from Unhal Alumni. Yeah, there are a lot in my mind, but I think I just want to talk about what's currently happening in my department. It has something to do with the continuity of our students. Okay, so in terms of academic relation between Korea and Indonesia, during this COVID era, okay, yearly on an annual basis, we could send like more than 10 or 15 students to Korea. This is only from Gajah Mada, not to mention other universities in Indonesia, but simply because of the COVID. But now, starting from 2021, okay, this year, Korea has started opening up about receiving Indonesian students to Korea, despite the fact that, well, COVID is still happening in Korea. But Korea has done some step, okay, precautionary step, that they have rules that all students must undergo quarantine for 2 weeks, okay, with the support from the university, either from the university or from the Korean government, either way. And then vice versa, usually, annually, we also receive Korean students to our university. But this year, we have, okay, this is not my part actually to talk about this, but this is what has been happening. So far, they want to go to Indonesia, but they do not know what to do. Maybe they don't want to because they think that it's much better to be, or they feel safer in Korea. But some people want to go to Indonesia. This is not like an uneven, not unbalanced situation at the moment. This is how I see it. We as Indonesian students, we could send Indonesian students to Korea, but at the same time, we are not able to receive the student from Korea. So this is not my, I don't know how to solve this, but Umar Hadi can add about this. This is what happening. So the only way that we could tell them is that they could go online. But the problem is some students want to go to Indonesia. Maybe like the 1 year of 2020, they just want to get, I'm sorry, the fed up being isolated at home, just want to go out. And then not to mention about the social work. We have the social work activities. One of the requirements for some students in Korea, they have to go abroad and then to get certificate because they do some social work in other countries. And then because of COVID, they cannot do that. And then they've been looking for that. And this year, what they can do is that they can do social work by online. They are doing it this January and February in my university. Social work by online. Simply because they are quote unquote desperate to do that. They have to do this quote social work in other countries, not in Korea. And then they have to do that. So this is something that we need to focus on. We government to government, Pak Umar Hadi. We cannot do something about this. But so far, we can do only this by the government, by agreement between you to you. But among universities are different. So this is not answering the question, but this is something that we should be more focused about. While we're still in the first few days of 2021, this is going to be the trend. What's going to happen between you to you relationship among universities between Korea and Indonesia? Okay, itu mungkin Mbak Andi ini to give you some ideas that I have in mind.
Thank you so much, Dr. Suray. The next speakers, please, Ms. Tami, if you want to add some comments about this question.
For me, I would say maybe, Mr. Umar Hadi told before, university to university. I think this is important, especially maybe art university, because I can say that the K Arts, when I was there, they have like really great facilities like broadcasting, even the broadcasting studio, even bigger from my current company in Metro TV now. So they really have great facilities for all the students here, in Korea. So it will be good opportunities and good, it's a good for the next future of Indonesian entertainment industry. Maybe we can like doing like cooperation, good coordination together with Korean University, Art University, between Indonesia and Korea, and maybe communication also, broadcasting. So we can like manage together, like maybe doing like show or everything related to Indonesia and South Korea. That's from my side.
Thank you so much, Ms. Tami. Last to speak, Ms. Marina. Do you have some comments?
Yeah, thank you, Hani. Thank you for Ms. Andini's question. Given Indonesia and South Korea just signed IK-SEPA as an important milestone, so I think both countries can collaborate more closely in economic sectors as the main focus, especially in investment. Pak Umar Hadi has mentioned the Hyundai started to invest in Indonesia in 2019. So through these big South Korean companies, it can facilitate to increase South Korean investment to Indonesia, because it's not only can boost the Indonesian economic growth, but also can create job to absorb Indonesian laborers. Another sectors, according to the findings of the survey, the second one is in education sector. Perhaps Indonesia and South Korea can increase the number of scholarship program and exchange program from youth from both countries in order to have a broader perspective of each other. The third one is technology, as mentioned also by Pak Umar Hadi. We can do transfer of technology as South Korea is advanced in terms of technology. And the last one is military and defense sector. We have built cooperation with South Korea in the sector in the submarines production. Indonesia bought 3 submarines from South Korea, but now we postponed cooperation in fighter jets production. So hopefully Indonesia and South Korea can explore other potential military equipment to collaborate in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Marina. The second question is actually from me. I think we have to address the elephant in the room with the development of the current pandemics. How do you think that the COVID-19 pandemic will affect the relations between Indonesia and South Korea, both at the government-to-government relations or people-to-people relations? And how should both countries react to or to cooperate during this pandemic? I think Mr. Umar Hadi will be the first to answer this question.
Yeah, this is the $1 million question. It's a very difficult question to answer because as we experience now, this COVID-19 pandemic is very dynamic in nature. You get ups and downs. But in principle, I think the challenge is not only in the bilateral relationship, but I think the challenge is more on the global nature. How countries choose their path. Because I think there are 2 basic questions that we need to answer first. Number 1, whether governments try to keep international cooperations during the pandemic, or they only want to take care of their own people. So this is the tensions, right, between upholding multilateralism, international collaboration, solidarity, and others. At the same time, each government really needs to take care of their own population. Number 2, the second question, whether governments want to be, whether governments try to become more autocratic, to have more control, so that easier to have some sort of order among the population to control the pandemic, or governments try to empower its populations, the population, the citizenship, the citizenry, the citizens, the community to address the pandemic together. You see, so number 1 and number 2, both very difficult tensions. And we see now different countries, different way of dealing with these 2 tensions. Now, Indonesia and Korea in principle, the two countries share similar ways of looking at the issues. On the first tension, both Indonesia and Korea promotes international cooperation. Both Indonesia and Korea promotes multilateral endeavors in addressing or managing the pandemic. Even in South Korea, until today, South Korea has never closed its doors. While other countries are closing their doors in the name of protecting its own population, South Korea until today, they have never closed the door, but they have a very strict health protocol when you enter South Korea. So the first tension, both countries are in the same wavelength, the same frequency. That's why Korea, since early in March last year, already decided that Indonesia is the priority country to receive assistance and all health equipments and all kinds of things related to COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the second tension, to uphold democracy or to become a little bit more authoritarian. I think in principle, also the two countries try to uphold democracy, rule of law, and even try to empower the communities, sharing responsibility so the government doesn't monopolize the responsibility, but both in Indonesia and Korea, governments try to encourage communities to be more active in together addressing and managing the pandemic. So that's the good news. Therefore, we can expect that bilateral cooperation between the two countries, of course, in real terms like trade, investment, inter-university cooperation, many things have to stop or to be postponed, right, because of the pandemic. But in principle, the links remains there. In trade, for example, 40% of Indonesian export to South Korea is coal, batu bara. Right? Indonesia is the second largest supplier of coal to South Korea. Number one is Australia. Now, in 2020, because of the pandemic, Korean exports declined, right? Because they cannot send their products to other countries. Therefore, many factories in Korea stopped production or slowing down their productions. Therefore, their needs of energy is also decreasing. Therefore, the electricity power plants, the coal-fired ones, 40% of electricity in South Korea is with coal power. But they are trying to reduce the use of coal. But now, because they don't need electricity need is declining, coal import also declining. So that's why the number of export from Indonesia to Korea in 2020 it declines quite significantly, more than 10%, mainly because of coal. So this is to be realistic. We have to admit there are things which are slowing down, but I think once we are going through the pandemic era, I think many of the foundations or the structures for cooperation are still intact. so we can continue even faster. But as I said in my presentation, what we need now is not merely adaptation. We need to have transformation. That's why the embassy, myself, we propose the three transformation, not only for the embassy, but this has something to do with going to the next stage of the bilateral relationship. The first is about the importance of safety, security, and health. Now, if you look at joint ventures between Indonesian companies and Korean companies, many now going to health sector. Biopharmacy is very important. Medical equipment production is very important. So I've seen quite many companies now try to start joint ventures in that sector. Also on the safety measures using high tech IT, especially with the face recognition technology, with blockchain technology, you can have more safety standards. Also security with surveillance technology and so on and so forth. So that can induce many new initiatives. Also, and then the second one is digital transformation. This is very clear. The 5G technology, artificial intelligence, more and more companies from Korea try to tap into the Indonesian market on the finance, even in the finance sector. What do you call it? Fintech. And then the third one is on the green transformation. Just so happens the Korean government in the next 5 years will focus on two things in their economic recovery. Digital, the so-called Korean New Deal, Digital New Deal and Green New Deal. Basically, they will improve the infrastructures for digital and green technology in all cities in South Korea. So that's why we expect to see an exponential increase in terms of green technology coming out from Korean companies and research institutions. That's why Indonesia needs to tap into that increase to utilize those technology for our benefit. And at the same time, we also would expect research institutions in Indonesia. I know, for example, IPB in Bogor. I have good relations with the rector, Pak Arif. They are working very hard in introducing new technologies. We can promote that kind of technology from Indonesia in Korea. So I think that's what I expect will happen in the next, in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Umar Hadi. It is really important to note from Indonesian Embassy that not only just adaptation, but also transformation. And talking about digital transformation, Dr. Suray has also mentioned about how the pandemic makes everyone going online and increase the Korean popularity. Maybe Dr. Suray wants to add some comments about the question. Your mic is still on mute.
Yeah,
Okay.
Actually, Pak Umar Hadi has summed it up. He summed up very well. Quite okay. I can imagine what he has in mind. Thank you, Pak Umar Hadi. Okay, if I could add, not related to that, I hope that the next survey that will be conducted in other cities apart from Jakarta, please make sure that suggestion from Pak Umar Hadi will be negotiated or be discussed about at the Habibie Center, and also please make sure about whether you should the need to use the same question to other cities, especially to Central Java. I think that's. I just want to make sure that the Habibie Center will not forget that. Thank you, Pak Umar Hadi, for making sure about that. That's very important.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Suray, for your advice regarding the next survey. Maybe Ms. Tami would like to add some comments regarding the question of COVID-19.
I think, yeah, Mr. Umar Hadi really explained it very well. For me, I'm the one who maybe still get nervous too, because I will go in this September to learn Korean language. So yeah, I just hope that the vaccine will get soon for us, for all the people around the world, and then the world getting better. We can do our activity before. So yeah, even we can't do before, but we can do the daily activity. That's all my hope. But yeah, we just still can think the positive and be productive, don't give up because of it's not only it's the huge pandemic around the world, so we have to still sane. We still have to be positive thinking and pray of course, because I'm the one also who get nervous because I will go to Korea in this September. That's all for me, because Mr. Umar Hadi will explain all the things very well, the government.
Thank you so much, Ms. Tami. We still have many topics to discuss, but unfortunately our time has elapsed. On behalf of the Habibie Center, I would like to thank our 4 speakers and all participants who have joined our fruitful, insightful discussion this afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Umar Hadi, Dr. Suray Agung Nugroho, Ms. Tami Mauliana Kartanegara, and Ms. Marina Ika Sari. Thank you, everyone. Please stay healthy and safe, and stay tuned for our social media to know our next events, webinars, or research. See you next time. Goodbye.
Bye. Annyeong.
Bye.
Kamsahamnida.
Annyeong.
Pak Suray.
Kamsahamnida.
Pak Suray bagi-bagi itunya ya, nanti presentasinya bagus tadi.
Oh ya Pak. Ya Pak.
Salam.
Kita belajar juga banyak.
Terima kasih Pak Umar, Pak Suray, Mbak
Ya,
Tami.
terima kasih.
Terima kasih.
Mbak Marina.
Nuhun Pak Umar dari